Welcome to the Black Male Impact. Today we have as guest Dr. Hamilton Raymond. Dr. Raymond, welcome to the Black Male Impact.
Dr. Cross, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I'm looking forward for this conversation, a much needed conversation, something that really I believe it's important to our young people, especially our young men of color. So I'm excited. I'm ready to go.
Man, man, it's a pleasure, having you here. I know we had conversation in the past, and man, so I'm excited just as you, and I know the listeners will get as much as we plan to share with them. I know they're going to get something great from this conversation. But before we get into the conversation um, itself, um, uh, uh, okay, I saw someone was trying to get on,
Mhm.
but they can't get into the conversation. I think they can join via LinkedIn. So
Okay.
if they can get to LinkedIn and they can pull up the video, which I was just about to tell them that
Okay.
they can get to the conversation through LinkedIn. But for the listeners who are here with us, before we get into the conversation itself, I'll just ask you, please share this conversation with your network. But I also have to say, or apologize to the listeners who are here for the late start. Some things just happen at times that we have no control over. So first, I really want to apologize. I know we were supposed to start maybe 4 to 5 minutes ago. So I'm just going to share a little bit with you about Dr. Hamilton Raymond, and then we'll get into the conversation itself um, today. Yeah, I see a few people they were
Right.
planning on joining. So for those who are here, you can join us on LinkedIn. Please check on LinkedIn for the link or on YouTube. Um, you can be a part of the conversation. You can also share and ask questions via LinkedIn and YouTube. For those who are here and planning to join the conversation, please join us on LinkedIn and YouTube to participate in the conversation. And I'm really excited and looking forward to your questions. So, again, please join us on LinkedIn and on YouTube to participate in the question and conversation. So, Dr. Raymond is enrollment,
So,
management, and student affairs profession,
yes, sir.
and he's also an author, and he's also a student advocate. But before I go into the questions, I will just allow Dr. Raymond to share more about himself before we get into the conversation. Dr.
Yep.
Raymond, go ahead.
Fantastic, Dr. Cross. Look, I sincerely appreciate you always for having me on. Yes, I right now I sit as the vice president for enrollment management and student affairs or student success, I should say, at Metropolitan College of New York, where I do oversee the aspect of enrollment from perspective all the way up until graduation, which I'm going to throw in our just a quick little sublime or rather promotion that we had our 48th commencement on Saturday, which highlighted our first president, President Charles Gibbs. His first commencement, and it went extremely well. Had a lot of great feedback for that. But certainly, my entire career has been set around engaging young people, more specifically young men of color, to try to get them into higher education, letting that be an avenue for success for them. You know, as a black male, as a black male of a single mother, education was really very important in my household and very important in my life. So I always want to share that opportunity with anyone I come across and let them know that the best way to get anything out of life is through education. I am from I am Haitian. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, by my mother at a very young age. Her and I, we were definitely rode some waves together. We went through our obstacles together. But her ability to ensure my safety and my future, something that I am sincerely appreciative of. And I learned a lot from her. You know, my work ethic comes from her. My ability to be loyal comes from her. My ability to continue to persevere through and through comes from her. So she played both mother and father for me growing up, and it plays a very, very significant role in where I am today in life. And so I'm extremely thankful for her and all that she's done. And you know, again, life for anyone is not an easy road, but those that are in your life that create a path for you certainly needs to be recognized.
Man, I do believe that as well, because we will not get to where we are, or we wouldn't have got to this point without the support and help of others. And I think Lawrence Aker says shout
Yes.
out to Dr. Raymond. For those who are here with us, man, I really appreciate it. But yes, I also agree with you, man, with when it comes to education, to change our lives, to make the best of who we can be. Education is really, really important. And I know a part of your story, as you shared, your mom had you at a young age, and for you to overcome the challenges that comes with life and to be where you are in the position that you are, that's an inspiration to black males, especially, because you could have given up, when you look around and see your circumstances, even though sometimes we have people around us, encouraging us, we still have to make those choices to be and do what will help us to be successful. So again, man, I really want to say thank you for being here, and I'm just getting ready to dive into this conversation with you today. And for the listeners who are here, and for those who are joining us on the various platforms, please go ahead and share this link with your connections so they can also participate in this conversation. They may have questions that they want to ask. So, but my first question to you, Doc, how has your upbringing shaped your view of being a man? Being that you grow with your mom, so how that experience, help you to be a
Right.
man?
Well, again, you know, I'll go back to just her ability to show me what hard work is about. As a father myself, I understand the importance of a parent. And my mother is a woman that never quits. So, as a young man, I understood very early in life that I have to continue to persevere through life in such a way that is going to allow me to get what I want to get in life without quitting. So watching her wake up day in and day out, at times works two, three jobs, never complained, never was late to work, never really had any issues or any kind of regrettable moment while she was doing what she had to do to ensure our survival. That is something that really resonates with me till this day, and you know, my work ethic speaks for it. I'm not here without her. I'm not here without the good Lord above,
Correct.
and you know that has really shaped me into the man that I am today. And it's often said that a single mother is difficult for a single mother to raise a young man, and more specifically a young black man. But you know, I'd have to disagree at times because my mother did a phenomenal job. Not to say I didn't go through my struggles, not to say I
Right.
didn't go through my hurdles in life, but in each area of my life, she was there for me, supporting me, pushing me all the way through. So you know, having her as a catalyst and a rock is something that has really pushed me to being the man that I am today, learning a lot of things from her. And again, perseverance is the number one thing that she has taught me in life, and I have lived by that till this day.
That's great. But as you say, she worked two jobs and stuff like that. So
Right,
looking at her doing that work, every day, did that push you
right.
to say, you know what, I'm going to do something with my life so I can make things better for her?
Absolutely, absolutely. That what keeps me going. Right,
Right.
keep my mother happy. She tells me every day she's proud of me,
Right.
and that means a lot to me. But that was my motivation. Motivation was to see her in a better place, to get to a point in life as quickly as I can to make sure that we are sharing in the successes that I have accomplished. And every day that I'm above ground, we're getting closer and closer to that time. And
Yes, sir.
so, yeah, just watching her, it was a motivational factor for me throughout my entire life till this day.
So you can't do less, you got to do more.
Right.
And that in itself, to show the appreciation for what
Absolutely.
she have done for you as a
Absolutely.
man. We can't do less, we got to do more. So that leads to my next question.
Yeah.
What were you taught about success growing up, and has that changed?
Well, I learned first of all that failure are just many successes that need to grow a little bit more, right? So failure is never something that is supposed to stop you or hinder you from pushing forward. I learned that the one thing that you can't do is quit. If
Correct.
you keep going, you will get out of life exactly what you want out of it. And I set a goal for my life to be a university president when I was
Wow.
24 years old. And I am now the tender age of 40. Body may not necessarily feel like it right now,
Yes, sir.
but and I'm one position away from that, right? So 16 years later, it didn't come overnight, but it's in arm's reach. When I set that goal, I had no idea how I was going to get there. It was a vision that came to me, a vision that I wanted to accomplish. I felt it would give me the opportunity to be in a position where I can help others get to a place of success in life via education. I
Correct.
set that goal with intent, no idea of how I would get there. And as the years went by, you know, I am a big believer what you put into the universe will come back to you. So as the years went by, I got closer and closer to that goal. And this year, 2025, um, I was thankful or grateful enough to receive this position of vice president. And then I looked at myself and I'm like, look at God, look what God has done. 16 years ago, I set myself on a course to becoming and achieving a goal, and now I'm sitting in rooms with university presidents. I am shaking hands with them. I'm calling them. I'm texting them. Um, my mentor is a two-time president. I am in really arm's reach of these gentlemen, and I'm extremely blessed, and I'm extremely grateful for that opportunity. So it's an aspect of just persevering. It's an aspect of setting some standards, some goals where if it doesn't scare you, then you're not dreaming big enough. That kind of aspect. So this is really where I'm at in life, and I am just extremely blessed about that.
Man, you said two really important things, especially when it comes to success. And you said, don't quit. But also, you mentioned, to set the goal. And you have set your goal at age 24, even before it looked possible. And that is a great reminder for current generation and the younger generation, because life will test you, and there will be obstacles. And sometimes it's not going to look as if it is possible. But once you set out to achieve something, it makes it easier to achieve it because you know where you want to go, what you want to achieve. And as you stated, it will make it easier for others because when you are sitting at the table as a black male who may have overcome adversity, who grew up in a single, parent household, grew with your mom and stuff like that, now you will have an understanding of students who may, going through the same situation, now you can speak on their behalf, which is really important. So that's a great reminder to all the listeners that we should never quit, and we should set goals, and set goals that scares us, because that's important when it comes to success, because success is not going to happen overnight. You will have to do work to get there, and sometimes that work can look scary. Which leads me to my next question: how did your environment influence your self-worth?
It's a great question, and I'd have to start this answer by identifying my upbringing. My mother did have me at a young age in the United States, but I was raised primarily in Haiti. And I came back to the States when I was 8 years old. That foundation of being raised in Haiti really set the tone for the person I was going to be, and the type of future that I was looking to get. Uh, I learned the value of family while in Haiti. I learned the value of struggling in Haiti. But more importantly, my grandfather, he was an educator. And the one thing that he always told us is that he was always going to bless us with the most important thing in life. And it's not riches, it's education. And he made sure that all his children were able to read and write and be productive members of society. And that understanding that aspect at an early age, when I came to America, the foundation was already set. Um, and as I went through my time here as a young kid and then a teenager and into adulthood, that foundation of education always sat there with me. While I explored life as young men do, in Brooklyn, New York, I was an athlete, so I explored life in a very fun way. But whichever direction I went, education was still my foundation. So that has really shaped me to where I am at today. And I cannot express enough how important education is, how many doors it was going to open up for you. As a former athlete, we understand that 9 out of 10 young men of color want to become some sort of professional athlete or entertainer. And now we're in the world of influences and individuals want to be influencers. All those are all great goals to have and all great goals to pursue, because those goals definitely do scare you. And there are some that do make it. But the one thing that I want to ensure is that in life, we have to prepare ourselves for our older years, right? What would your older self feel about you or say about your younger self? And while we are athletes and entertainers, we have to understand that there's a concept of temporary success. And that's what those things offer. We are fortunate to live very long lives. I know people say life is short,
Yeah,
which is something that I debate quite some time, because life is pretty long. And
yeah,
if you are not setting yourself up for success in your older years, then when you get to that point, it may not necessarily be beneficial for you. So understanding that education is the route that's going to ensure that for you. Education will never fail you.
right.
Education will never stop you from progressing. As an athlete, I tore my Achilles, I broke my leg, I had tore my hamstring. There are a lot of things that happened to me that did not place me in position to become a professional athlete. But the one that keeps me going is the fact that education was at the root of my upbringing,
You know,
and that's valuable.
yeah, man, and that's a great reminder, because that's one thing they cannot take from you. Once you have the education, you can use it for the entire duration of your lifetime. But even more important, as you talk about education, and especially over entertainment and all the other stuff, I recently have seen athletes, not athletes, but athletes and entertainers. Just 1 minute right here. Athletes and entertainers and other individuals who are extremely successful, who will not be able to spend all their money in more than one lifetime going back to school to get their education. That shows you the value of education. And sometimes we see these black men who are super successful financially, going back to education. going back to college and get their education. And that's not something that we see often, and we don't see cover in the media. But that shows you, how valuable education is to them, and a great reminder for those who sometimes who may say, what, I'm not going to go that route. But once you get it, no one can take it away from you, and you can always get an opportunity that aligns with your education. We recently have seen men and women who graduated at age 80, getting their
Right.
degrees and stuff like that, which is a great reminder, to the value of education. But yeah, so and I want to go into the next question, but that's a great reminder. And but as you state, family is a great foundation, which that was part of your bringing that to help strengthen your self worth. So my next question to you is, we are talking about media. What media images shaped your understanding of what Black men could or couldn't be?
Yeah. The media is something that is a hell of a tool. It's an extremely powerful tool. And the media shapes how we view ourselves. And fortunately, uh, being the fact that I was an athlete, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. The messaging that we received by Black men were that of athletes and entertainers. But for me, uh, something in me is struck differently, right? I was more so into the Martin Luther Kings of the world. I
Okay.
want to understand how they move such a nation, how they move essentially a world by just being persuasive and being convincing about what equality should look like. The likes of Malcolm X, those individuals really are the ones that I was attracted to. Get me wrong. I love watching sports. I love some good music. Lil Wayne is one of my favorite artists. But I also understood that we all can't be a Lil Wayne,
Okay.
right? Lil Wayne is very successful, very talented at what he does, and he can go and present that image as he's doing now because Lil Wayne never has to go to another interview in his life. However, young men coming up should not see that and emulate that, but rather emulate the work ethic that he possesses to get to where he's at. He's a talented individual, but he puts in the work that he needs to get to that point. So my images of black men were very it's very big scale, right? I saw the athletes and the entertainers, but I also saw the ones like the Martin Luther Kings, and for some reason I was able to understand where both came from, but gravitated to how can I move a nation with my words. I think that's a powerful individual when you're able to do that. When you're able to tell someone or show someone, how to become a better person, how to become a better husband, a better father, a better son, better brother
Correct.
through your words. I think is a powerful concept, and that's how I view life.
Well, yeah, we all have been exposed to, different variation of what Black men, look like or should be like. But as you stated, not everyone will be able to be an entertainer or a professional athlete. But sometimes that is what's been pumped into our community. And, our young men at times aspire to only be those things, and not realizing that there are several other options, so like yourself, and we spoke about this before, just seeing you on campus gives them an option
Right,
that this is possible. And sometimes, they are running after being an athlete or entertainer, not realizing, all the different challenges that comes with it. But also, you said something important, when you talk about Lil Wayne and his ability and to be in the stage, talent without work doesn't matter what talent.
right,
You got to put in the work. If it's going to
right,
give you the results you want, you have to put in the work,
right,
which is really important. So it's like anything in life. If we want to achieve it, it's important, that we put in the necessary work to achieve it. And we talk about the role models, what the media portray, how that look to us. So my next question to you is, who were your earliest role models and how did they impact you? I know
My
you
mother,
talk about Martin Luther King. I know
right,
you talk about, Malcolm X. I know you talk about Lil Wayne and stuff like that. But who, and I know you spoke about your grandfather as well.
right.
But if you don't mind, go ahead and share.
My
With
my
your-
my my number one role model was and always will be is my mother, because my mother is a tangible person. Again, when we speak of role models, oftentimes we think of someone who's super rich and super famous and things of that nature. But I often tell young men and young people that I work with, it's like your role model has to be someone that's tangible, someone you can reach, someone you can speak with, have conversation with. And my mother is my absolute role model. Just again, I go back to her ability to just overcome obstacles day in and day out is something that is a powerful tool, because if those that lack the ability to overcome obstacles often cut themselves short in reaching success, and understanding how to overcome it is a trait that I'm hopeful I can give to my kids. And hopefully they can pursue life in such a way that my mom has taught me to do it. But aside from my mother, I have to go with my grandfather. I'm in education because of him. I come from a family that's in the healthcare industry, and I ventured off to education because I learned it from him. He was my first father figure growing up, and I saw how he moved a community through education, and I wanted to be like that. And so, those two individuals are really, really, really great influences in my life. And then, my family as a whole has always supported me. My extended family has supported me. Everybody has really come together to ensure that uh, my future is a bright one. And so the path that they've set for me, I have uncles that are showing me how to be a father, right? Because there were dads before me, show me how to be a husband because there were husbands before me. They are those role models for me. Are close knit, people that I can again touch and be next to and have conversations with. I do enjoy Martin Luther King. I love how he moved the nation, but I'm never going to meet Martin Luther King. I aspire to want to move a nation like he has moved the nation. However, my role models are the ones that are closest to me.
Man, man, and that's a great reminder that we sometimes look past the people who are close to us, who demonstrate great qualities and characteristics, looking outside for people to be our role models. And sometimes we are looking for celebrities to be our role models, not realizing the people who are close to us, who are demonstrating great characteristics, they too can be role models. That's a great reminder because a lot of people have people closer. They may not be rich, in the sense of the world, but they display qualities that we all can apply to our lives so we can be who we're supposed to be. And sometimes, those qualities that these individuals who we may not consider rich display, and if we adapt those qualities, we can achieve, great success in the sense that we can go through, get the education, get the promotion, and be in roles that help us to make a tremendous impact in the world, because sometimes what it boils down to, what will be our contribution to humanity, and that's important. And we sometimes overlook the individuals in our communities that are close to us, family members who are displaying qualities that we should apply to our lives. So that's a great reminder. um, so what message did you receive about expressing emotion?
Growing up, well, the standard. You have to be tough.
Correct.
Um, you have to be tough, and I know we're in a different space in the world right now, right? And it's a very needed space, a space of mental health and mental
Correct.
health acknowledgement. I think it's an important aspect. I think something that we should have gravitated to earlier, especially in the Black communities. But we're here now. Growing up for me, and mental health wasn't as alive as it is today. But what I did learn is the ability to be tough and to be strong and to understand that, listen, if you fall down, get back up. If you scrape your
Correct.
knee, get back up. I mean, I was 8 years old, cooking breakfast, ironing my
Yeah.
clothes, and learning how to be a man at a very young age, and understanding that at some point in life, I'm going to have to do this on my own.
Correct.
And you can't cry over spilled milk. You spill the milk, pick it up, clean it up, go buy another carton of milk. You certainly cannot stay and live in a space where you paralyze yourself in a sense because you're living solely off your emotions. Your emotions and your feelings so makes us human, but that can paralyze you from achieving success because life is hard. Life is hard, and if you don't have the ability to have that tough skin to go through it and enjoy it, it can certainly hinder you from becoming all you can be. So for me, it was a message of being tough, and I've always been tough, and I'm tough on my kids because they certainly need that, right? The world has the ability to chew you up and spit you out,
Correct.
and if you don't have that toughness within you, it will happen, and you'll let it happen. So it was a message of toughness for me.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. Growing up, that's it. As men, as black boys, is we have to brush it off and keep going. And and I still don't have no problem with that even today. That we need to be strong, that we need to be tough, especially in the world. Despite the changes, yes, we need to acknowledge our emotions and our challenges. But I do believe that we need to be strong. We need to be tough, and especially as men, to protect our wives, to protect our kids, to protect our community, to protect our families and stuff like that. It is important, but that's how most of us grew up, especially if you're over 40. Maybe
Right,
we are the last generation to really get that kind of tough love, in a
right,
sense that man, you can't be crying, come on,
right,
let's keep going.
right,
But that's something that not maybe this generation are more put in the set in the corner to
right.
deal with the emotions and not get out and keep going. But everyone experience is different, and sometimes even individuals who may be at our age, maybe had a different experience when it comes to how they deal with emotion. But that leads me to this question, and I think this is important. We talk about the impact of socialization. Have you ever felt pressured to conform to stereotypes to survive or to fit in?
Absolutely. The higher you go up in any career path, the more you have to be able to be what I like to call a chameleon. Um, you have to be able to change in spaces and places.
Correct.
Um, this relates to your earlier question about emotion, where we're at right now. We are in a world where people are leading with emotions, and they're attacking all facets of their life with emotions. But we have to understand when to and when not to allow emotions to take over. So for me, yes, plenty of opportunities to conform. Perfect example. I had dreads. I had very long hair, and I told you my aspirations of becoming a college president. And I spoke to my mentor. I'm like, listen, man, I have the PhD. I have the year experience. I wrote the book. I taught in the classrooms. I have making the connections. I'm going to the right conferences. Why am I not getting a position in the C-suite level? And he told me simply put, you got to cut your hair. If you don't cut your hair, you're not going to get the opportunities that you seek abundantly. And I took that advice. I cut my hair, and 3 months later, I was hired as a vice president. So
Wow.
it shows you that you know we have to conform at times to get what we want to get to, but the most important message is when you get to that table, to ensure that the message you're putting out there is one that's going to be effective for those coming behind you. When you get through that door, you break the hinges of that door and you bring someone along with you. My son, if he aspires to follow my footsteps, I'm going to show him the way, and getting him to where he wants to get to. My daughters, if that's what they want to do, I will certainly show them the path, because I will have made it, and I will make that path easier for them, and I'll expect them to do that for someone else. But you have to humble yourself, and I use the word humility and humble, being humble more so than conforming, because you have to put your pride aside to get to some spaces in life, to help make a difference in the world. And I had to do that. If I was so prideful and would not gonna cut my hair, and I'm going to be this guy that's going to make it happen with this aspect, I might not have been where I'm at right now. And I'm
Right.
not saying everybody with locks to go ahead and cut your locks. If you feel super powerful about that, if you feel that defines who you are, certainly keep that and make that your personality. But understand that opportunities will uh, escape you at times, because we live in a very judgmental world. The world will tell you that you're not good enough by simply looking at you.
Right.
And if that's a fight that you want to fight, certainly fight that fight. But I want to fight that fight on a level where I could change the narrative. And that's where I'm pushing towards. So yes, in certain meetings that I'm at, I have to conform. I cannot speak how I speak in my house when I'm in these meetings. I cannot speak how I speak with my boys when I'm in these meetings. You have to conform. It is just part of becoming an adult. It's part of becoming a professional. It's part of becoming successful. You cannot be the same person 24/7. You have to have the ability to shift in between rooms to make sure that you get yourself a seat at the table.
Well, and and that's a valid point and great reminder. For those who have the aspiration to do great things and want to achieve, knowing that there are certain expectations out there that you may get overlooked um, if you haven't fit into certain, because there are principles, and not to say, as you mentioned, not to say if you have dreads per se, you cannot,
Right.
but you have a mentor, and a mentor, he could have seen where you could get to where you want to be, but these are some of the steps that you may have to take, and that's something that just 1 minute. That's something that we have to take in consideration. When we want to move up, what are the things that we need to do? As you mentioned, it's not about conforming, but having the humility to make the adjustments to get to where would want to be. And I think that's a great reminder. Having the humility to make those adjustments so we can achieve the goal that we have for ourselves. From a mentorship perspective or lack of, how I can, being that, you have the position and you got the promotion, how would you say, mentorship really impact your life?
Mentorship is everything. You so there's a saying, right? You can only become what you see, right? So I wanted to become a college president. I have to see college presidents, and they have walked that path. They
Right.
understand that path. And my whole thing about knowledge is only knowledge when the information is passed on. You can be a very, very smart person and not be someone who's knowledgeable, right? Because you're hoarding all that information, and that's just not how we as humanity should move. We have to lift as we climb. So mentorship is everything. I am learning I am observing, I am understanding, but more importantly, I'm following, right? In order to become a leader, you have to be a great follower. I am
Right.
extremely grateful for my current boss, President Charles Gibbs, who's the president of Metropolitan College of New York. I mean, he has been such a great leader, and I'm here to serve him. And I've been following his lead and watching how he's moving and how he's interacting, and the likes of Dr. Jack Thomas, who has also been a two-time president, who's teaching and telling me the intricacies of presidencies is a very, very vital thing. So for those that are seeking to get into any space in life, find a mentor, because you need to understand how to get there. One, you need to understand how to navigate these waters when you are there. And it's been tremendously helpful for me. I Right now I mentor some individuals myself because I think is a very valuable thing for those that are aspiring to be in higher education or just find success in general. You know, I'm in a position right now in my life where I'm in a position where I am a leader in my own right. I oversee a few staff members. I make decisions that are going to impact both them and the institution. So I'm in a position where I can provide some of that knowledge to them and show them how to get to a space of leadership. So it's a very, very, very important concept, and everyone in this world needs a mentor.
Oh yeah, man, that is important. But outside of the mentorship, as you talk about, and the importance of having mentors, you said something that is really important, and that it becomes easier to be what we see. Being around individuals who are already there, for the things that we want, it becomes easier. Now, we not only think we want it, now we can see that it is possible, because we now see individuals who have overcome their hurdles, have done the work to get to the position that we so aspire to be. And that can't be stressed enough. That it's important that we position ourselves and be amongst individuals who already achieve goals we want to achieve, because not only we seen them, but they can also share with us what it takes to get there. And if they're saying these are the things that you need to do to get there, if you want to get there, it's important that you follow the steps. Although the principles may be it may give you different results, but it's great to know what it takes to get to where you want to be.
That's
Man,
right.
that's important, especially when it comes to mentorship and and then achieving one's goal. So my next question is, what conversations around mental health were present in your home? I know we kind of touched on that a little bit.
Mhm.
You don't have to share a lot about that because I'm going to ask another question to follow up with that.
Mhm.
But for mental health, we didn't. How is it for you? Maybe past and present.
Yeah, so I have to emphasize us being around the same age bracket. Growing up back then, mental health was not a dinner conversation, right? It was at the forefront of our minds, but today it is. But I think it's a vital concept because when you're out there being an adult, when you have people that are depending on you, when
Right.
you have that's both your family and that's people at work. That can take a toll on you, and you have to be able to make sure that you are healthy in all aspects, and you have to come ready to work every single day. I think mental health is a very important thing. I have gravitated to understanding how important mental health is, and my kids every morning they have to say affirmations every morning before they leave the house because they have to understand that when you go out there, people in this world will try to push buttons and will try to antagonize and get you out of character. But if you have that ability to control your mental health, control your emotions, it's going to be much more beneficial for you. So I practice affirmations daily. My faith has gotten a lot closer than it was when I was a younger man. I have really rejuvenated that aspect of my life, and really understand that prayer is very important, right? And those that believe in a higher power certainly need to make that part of their daily lives, and we have to be able to control our mental health on a daily basis. Life throws a lot at you every single day, and so for me, I think that I'm a much better space at practicing mental health today than I was ever in my life. And I held in a lot of things because growing up, you have to be tough, right? You
Right.
can't let them see you cry. You can't let them see you sweat, that kind of thing. So I was built that way. And being an athlete, as I'm sure you know, Dr. Cross, you cannot let your opponent see you sweat,
Oh
right?
no.
You cannot let them see you nervous. So all those characteristics growing up really put mental health on the back burner for me. But in my older years, it's really become a vital piece of my life, and I'm thankful that I have the capability to recognize it and to work towards it, and more importantly, to pass it on to my kids.
And that's important. How we deal with the situation now, and the habits that we practice. I think that is important. But I just want to acknowledge one of the LinkedIn user. I'm not
Mhm.
seeing who this person is, but just to confirm what you have stated about daily affirmation and how crucial they are, especially when they're dealing with challenges in life. Because if we can get up, remind ourselves of what we want to do, or who we are, having that attitude to take on life, make the journey a bit easier. Because there are things that will happen on the journey that we will not have control over, but our attitude towards those things will make a tremendous difference. So that leads me to this. Though we talked about school and challenges before, earlier in the conversation, but in what ways did school affirm or challenge your sense of value?
Made me believe I was smart. My mother always told me I was a smart young man. But when you
Yeah,
start seeing those grades and you start seeing those results, you start believing it. And when I was able to get into a doctoral program, it was a moment of just pure bliss for me because, coming from Port-au-Prince, Haiti,
yeah,
to a doctoral candidate is something that my mother was extremely proud of. But
that's
it made me feel good. And when I finished and I wrote a book, I'm like, I might actually be kind of smart,
right.
you
That's
know.
right.
So school really just reaffirms those values, those thoughts that a parent already sees in you. My mother saw from day one, and I just needed to go through life to really understand that what she saw was reality. And I am now at a point where education has really, really boosted my confidence as a person, as a man. Has really showed me that all the values that I have currently is because education showed me that I was capable of doing it. I'm very, very big on maximizing your education, and that looks different for everyone, right? But one thing I do believe that it doesn't stop at the high school level. You have to continue to grow. You have to push yourself.
Correct.
You have to push your mind. You have to push your body. You have to get to where you believe that you need to stop. And for me, it was a terminal degree, and I haven't thought about going back for a second terminal degree. But the way these loans are set up, I don't know if I could do that right now.
Nice.
But certainly, education reaffirmed what my mother has always seen in me is me being a smart young man.
And having individuals, especially parents, to validate our greatness. I think that is important. And Dr. Brown, Aiden Brown, is here. He was the one that shared that. Um, agree with you on the importance of daily affirmation and how impactful those can be. My next question to you is, what messages did you internalize about leadership and responsibility?
So one of the measures that I internalize is that in order to be a great leader, you have to be a great follower. Um, we cannot lead if we don't know how to follow, right?
Wow.
I internalized that for the entirety of my career. Another thing that I internalized, I was told this by Congressman Rob Carnegie back in the days. He's told me, um, dress for the position you want, not the position you have. So I was a college recruiter going out wearing suits because I know I was inspired to be at the highest level of higher education. And so, suits for me, wearing a suit symbolize something very simple, right? One, it changes your character, changes who you are, but it creates that validation of where you want to get to. You're stepping into the space of your future aspirations, and you're going through it. So, while I didn't have to look and dress up and things of that nature, it's something that really showed me or helped me to transition into leadership role in higher education. But the aspect of following and understanding and learning and being humble is something that I'm learning to be something that I internalize as a leader. So it's just really those two things, right? Dress for the position you want, not the position you have. In order to be a great leader, you have to be a great follower, and of course the unknown, right? Just don't quit. If
Correct.
we if
Correct.
if we don't quit, you'll be surprised what we can accomplish.
Oh yeah, yeah, man. That as simple, those that you just share, it sounds real simple,
Right.
but those are the foundation to achieve what we want.
Right.
If you want to be a leader, you have to be a follower. And don't quit once you start something, and dress for the position you want to be where you are. Some
Mhm.
people thinking that, what, I'll wait until I get there.
Right.
But you have to get into the habit of who you want to be, or become the person now where you are. Because one of the things that we also have to take in consideration is that people are watching us.
Right.
They're not going to see us when we get there. They're going to see us now where we are. And if we display the qualities, the characteristics, that will, help to open the door, have individuals speak on our behalf, so we can get to where we want to be. Man, those are really great reminders. Especially if we have the aspiration to achieve more than the ordinary out of life, be willing to follow, because we have to be open to learn, because being a follower makes us more open to learning from those who are in front of us. We don't want to get to whatever position and don't know what we need to do. We need
Right.
to know what we need to do before we get to the position that we want in life. My next question to you is, how do you unlearn limiting beliefs passed down through generations? I know you had your grandfather, and I know your mom encourages education, but outside of that, I know we are exposed to what we cannot do, especially as Black men. So how do you unlearn limiting beliefs passed down through generations?
You know,
Or
it's a phenomenal question, right? I'm hoping I can tackle this in a good way. But I'll use the sport analogy. How do we become better athletes? We practice day in and day out. How do we become stronger? We practice day in and day out. How do we get rid of limited beliefs? We got to practice day in and day out. This is why affirmation is extremely important. This is why the changing your environment. So, um, for about 10 years of my life now, since I was 30 years old, I really started transitioning how I think. And how I did that is by listening to messages like a Les Brown, listening to powerful speakers, ET, right? Listen to powerful speakers because those messages are messages that you need to hear yourself daily.
oh
And
yeah,
I, instead of listening on the radio to the radio when I'm driving to work, I would listen to these messages for 10 years straight. And I still do it till this day because you have to change how you think. If you don't change how you think, you're never going to maximize your abilities in this world. And for me, changing my limited beliefs was by doing just that. Practice it, practicing at it. I promise you, for all those that haven't done affirmations, the first time you do it, you're going to feel silly. You're going
Yeah.
to whisper it, you're going to think it, and you're going to say, I'm not doing this again. But you stay at it. And what will happen will be a tremendous upbringing, a waking up, rather, right? You're going to start by mumbling it, and by first year, you're going to be shouting that in front of the mirror every morning. It just changes your thought process, brings much more clarity. Limited beliefs are something that does exactly that, limits your beliefs to becoming anything that you want to become. Just
Right.
think how beautiful life will be if we just remove that. And all that takes is ability to practice and do it day in and day out. Um, so that's how I do it, man. And again, I mentioned earlier, my faith has gotten a lot stronger. I do believe we need to believe in a higher power, and that really has shifted my thinking. I needed to gravitate to something that is bigger than me, is beyond me, and the Lord above is that. And so, again, in my 20s, I would never be having this conversation with you, right? But
Right.
as I decided to move towards to a career path that I saw that can be beneficial for my family, but more importantly for my community, I sincerely wanted to switch my thought processes, and that's what I've been doing. It's just practicing at it, listening to affirmations, listening to positive speakers, listening to this message daily, and removing myself from the negative messaging that we hear every single day. We see on social media, we see uh, on the radio. Just remove yourself from that. The greatest thing about where we are at now in this world with this technology aspect, you can get information for
Oh yeah.
anything. For anything. I challenge the listeners to get information for positive things.
Correct.
And you'll see how you can change your entire life by just changing the way you think.
Oh yeah, man. That is important. There's no excuse. Anyone say they don't know or thinking negatively. That's just a choice they're making. Everything now is at our fingertips, especially when it comes to information.
Right.
But you said something that is really important. But before you even say that, I just want to highlight. I think that is Dr. Brown. What that shared the point that you have made about mindset and to look the part before you play. The part. But as you talk about, the mindset and affirmation and the books and the people that we listen to and how you listen to books and motivational messages, in during your commute. I remember when I came across Automobile University. I don't remember. I think it was Bob Proctor.
Mhm.
Uh,
I know
talked
about
about
Proctor. Yeah.
that. Les Brown. They talk about it as well. But once I realized, man, look, during my commute, I can be uplifting myself. Man, if it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 5 hours, man, I'm going to absorb as much as I can. And we can either use those time to do things that's not beneficial to us, or we can use it to benefit to us.
Right.
And I think one of the guy he was saying, I don't remember who said it, but hours daily for 1 year is like getting a PhD. So if
Yeah.
you want to become more knowledgeable in psychology, man, just for 12 months, man, plugged into Automobile University, and you'll change your life. Because we're not going to learn if we don't engage in what's going to empower us. We have to engage in the information and from individuals who are willing to share it, so we can be empowered to be who we are capable of becoming. So I'm glad that you say that, because a lot of times, we don't realize how much we can get out of, our just back and forth to
Right.
our jobs and stuff like that, but we have to be intentional.
Right.
That's what you share about being intentional. So how do you no that I just asked a question,
Yeah.
but what does freedom of expression look like for you today?
Freedom of expression for me, oh man. You know, we're as we can clearly see where we're at right now
Yeah,
in this
yeah, the
space.
challenges is
The
definitely
challenge is where free speech may not necessarily be free anymore. Freedom of expression for me is really showing the ability to express yourself in a manner that is beyond yourself.
correct.
Um, what do I mean by that? Is we selfishly express our emotions based on how we are reacting to a situation or how we feel about someone doing us wrong or things of that nature. But I think free speech should be something that benefits someone else, right? So if I express my freedom of speech to create an environment that's going to be beneficial for young men of color to obtain higher education in an easier way, that was what I'm going to do. I'm not going to express it in an aspect where I'm upset because I didn't get allocated the same resources that my counterparts have gotten allocated. So for me, it's really about expressing yourself in a manner that's beneficial for everyone else, and not selfishly for you.
Man, I agree. Just or even just expressing the qualities, the characteristics,
Right.
the attitudes, that will paint a good picture of being a positive example
Right.
for others and those who are coming. Because what we don't want to do is create chaos. Just because we want to express. I think it, our expression should more so on empowerment to uplift and to make the especially those who are coming behind us better. But my next question, and we are already at the top of the hour, and for those who are here, when you're having a good time goes by real fast
Right.
because it seems as if we've been here only for 20 minutes, but we have been here an hour. But the question that I want to ask you as we here at the top of the hour, what does it mean to you to break the cycle?
Oh, it's everything to me. It's everything to break the cycle for my community, for my families, for others' families. It's the most important thing. I am my biggest how I measure success is how I can impact others.
Correct.
For me, it's not a monetary aspect. It's not a celebrity status aspect. It's the impact that I've made. My only fear of death is not being able to leave an impact behind. Right. I always tell people is I want to live forever, and I know that's not something that's possible. You cannot physically live forever, but the impact that you make, you can literally live forever within
Correct.
with this world, and that's what my focus is. It's really helping other people. We are we are beings that serve. We are individuals that are on here to make life better for the person coming behind us. That's what I intend to do. I'm blessed enough to have the ability to have the platform of higher education to do that, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this platform to make it better for individuals that were in my situations and worse situations or in a better situations, but I want to show them that this is something that can be beneficial for you and your families and for others that are looking to come through this route. So leaving a legacy is not simply having kids. It's making an impact. It's going to help shape a community, help build success for kids that are probably not even born yet. But because of what I've done in my career path, they have the ability to be successful. That's all I'm here to do.
And that is well said. And if we focus, allow ourselves to approach life from that perspective, things will be better. As the saying goes, that we should make the place better than we found it. And approach life from that perspective, it will really make a tremendous impact. We will see changes around us. We will see individuals coming behind us who want to make a difference because we are intentional about making a difference. And which leads me to this: how, from your perspective, how do you believe we should be about socialization when it comes to black men or black boys?
We have to be extremely honest with them. We have to be upfront with them. More importantly, we cannot be scared of them. What happens most times is individuals come from a certain environment, they become successful, they leave and never go back in that environment. That is the wrong thing to do. We have to go back and we have to find another person and build them, and so they can build someone else. We have to talk to our young men very, very transparently, our young men of color specifically. We have to speak to them very transparently. There's an agenda out there. There's an agenda that's out there to attack men of color. We are the most feared population,
Correct.
if not America, this world, because they know what we can do if we're given all the resources, and how well we can do it. I mean, if we just look at history, first doctors, engineers, scientists were people of color, and that just shows the impact of how what we can do when given the proper tools. And so, really have that conversation with them, and let them know that you are loved, you are beautiful, you are smart, and you can accomplish whatever your heart desires. But that same energy that we feed these young men, these negative energy that we feed, and they become very well versed in it, we can flip that script, right?
Correct.
If you think, for example, we look at gang members, we look at this as a negative connotation because of how society puts that negativity on gang members, but it's a very intricate kind of network, ever intricate kind of environment that takes knowledge and skill set, for it to operate the way it does. Now, imagine if we gave these young men the resources that they needed, and flipped that script. There would be astronauts, there would be politicians, there will be dangerous people in this community, danger in a way where they will be prominent and they will make changes, change policies, put people in positions to be victorious. We just have to speak to them that frankly, let them know that you are the one that can change this for everyone else. But in my book, I speak about internal and external locus of control. And what that simply means is young men of color lack internal locus of control. Internal locus of control just simply means we're not accountable, right? We never say it's our fault why we are in the situation that we are in. External locus, on the flip side, is blaming everybody else. So it's always someone's fault as why I'm not doing what I need to do. Once we change that mindset and we allow them to be accountable and we provide them with the resources that they needed to become successful, we're going to be a dangerous community, and we can really revitalize a Black Wall Street. And we can change the nation. We can change the community. We can do things that is going to put us in the winning circle. So we just have to really speak to them that frankly and let them know that people like us that are doing these things, that have found a way to get to where we're at, to go back and make sure that we give them the ladder to not get to our level, but to surpass our level. And that's what success is, and that's what we are here to do. So I mean, my message to young men, and I sincerely wish I could speak to these young men daily. Tomorrow, I'm actually going to elementary school tomorrow morning to read to young men and young women of color, and my message to them while they're very young. But I'm going to instill in them that they are our future,
Correct.
and they have all nothing but highway in front of them to become successes. So that's my message to them.
Man, that's great. And as you mentioned, your book, I was about to ask you, just to share, even the title of the book with those who are here, because you make a valid point, the internal and external locus of control, because sometimes we blame everything that's happening around us for the things that we do in life, and that's also a part of the conditioning
Right,
for us to think that it's the outside world will determine who we become,
right,
but we determine who we become. And as you were talking about, that we have to realize our power. And I remember when I saw Coach Carter and the young man stood up and recite that piece, our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. And that is something that I played over and over and over and over. And I go back to that point because it's a reminder, as you mentioned, that we are powerful beyond measure. The world knows it, but it's important that we know it, that we are powerful beyond measure. But before I ask my final question, could you share a little bit more so the listeners can know the title of your book
hmm
and how they can support you? and just the work that you're doing, because I think the work itself is very important. But they can also support the book, especially when it talks about internal and external
Right,
locus of control, because
right,
that's what we're dealing with today.
right. No, no, thank you, Dr. Cross. So my book is called Invisible Men: The Disappearance of Black Men in College. You can find it on Amazon. Type that title or just type Hamilton Raymond. It should come up. And really, that book is passionate to me because I went and I studied quite a few young men, and in very urban neighborhoods, and really spoke to them about what their future aspirations were. And I learned a lot from these participants. I learned how they viewed higher education, how they viewed school in general, and a couple things that stood out to me was what I mentioned earlier: the internal and external locus of control. But the one most important thing that I think is vital is confidence, self-esteem rather. Self-esteem was the one thing that they all seem to lack, and they lacked it not in the spaces of being an actor or entertainer. They lacked it in the space of education. They didn't think they were smart enough to go to places where to become a lawyer, doctor, PhD holder. They didn't believe they could do it because society, which was in my book is referred to as societal norms. Society is telling them this is how talented you are, and this just comes back full circle to our interview when we first started about the image of a black man. Right, men with fragile minds will see that the image that they perceive us to be is what we're going to become, but societal norms really takes the confidence out in them when it comes to education. Something very important, right? Very important. Um, there's something very important that I think we're all. Can we get 3 minutes there?
Just a
Right,
minute. Uh,
a minute, a second. Right. So um, it's really important to it's really important to get our young men to understand their value, right? And the self esteem piece is something that is missing in there. And I learned something the other day. I was in a conference. I was having a conversation, and they said, you know, we teach our kids to play sports to become professional athletes.
yeah.
Our counterparts tell their kids to play sports to learn the values that comes from the sport and
Wow.
utilize that value in the real world. Right?
Hmm.
Both playing the same sport, but completely two different messages.
Wow.
Right?
Man, that's
So
powerful.
right, right. So we have to really teach our young men their value. Teach them how amazing they are, how amazing they can be. And that only happens through conversations, happens through forums like this, right? And I hope we have some young men that tuned into this messaging. But it's really my book explains that concept of how we can create resources and opportunities for us to build our young men because they certainly need that.
Well, and man, it is great what you just shared, but I just want to pick this part as you talk about our perspective on sports, because sports, being an athlete, teaches a lot of great qualities.
Right, right,
But we approach it to go to professional, but the counterpart encourage their kids to learn the, the principles, the characteristics, the habits that it takes to be a successful athlete and take that to the world. That
yes,
is powerful. Man, that's a game changer.
right,
Because one, we're already great at being an athlete, but if we focus on taking the qualities, the habits, man, we'll be unstoppable. We'll
absolutely,
definitely be it, man. How the messages that we send to the younger generation, the next generation, is it really, really important. Because once
absolutely,
we cultivate in their minds, um, not just what they can get from it, but how they can utilize it later. man, it will definitely be a game changer. But for those who are here with us, and we already passed the 1 hour mark, but I have one more question that I'm going to ask before we conclude this conversation. But we will have more conversation in the near future. So this will not be the only time that for those who are here, tuning in. We will definitely have more conversation with Dr. Raymond in the future. But my final question to you before we go today is if you could rewrite the script for the next generation, what would it say?
Oh man, if I could rewrite the script for the next generation, I would say um, life is no crystal stair. It has storms in it, and it has the rocks on it. You have to push the limit, push the envelope. Um, it is so easy to quit. It is so easy to give up. But just think about how life will be for you if you get to the other side, right? Will Smith said this quote, and I live by this quote. The best part of life is lived on the other side of fear.
Wow.
Once you overcome that, life becomes magnificent. So if I could rewrite the script, I would tell them, the message that's being put out to you is not who you are. Understand your true value. Connect yourself with individuals that sincerely love you, right? There are three things that I live my life by, and I push it for my network and my kids, right? It's very simple. You have to put yourself in an environment where whatever room you walk into, people's eyes light up and smiles bright up when you walk into that space, right? You have to understand that the top of one mountain is the beginning of the next. So you have to keep going, and you have to really understand that you are loved beyond measures by your community and others around you, and you have to utilize that love to keep you pushing forward. Our young folks, man, it's really when you sit down, you watch what's going on with our young people in this world. There's a lack of love in there. There's a lack of self esteem. There's a lack of wanting to be heard, and a lack of and more importantly, screaming for that attention that they're looking from individuals like us to give them. So just you just gotta stay grounded, and you have to keep pushing.
Correct.
Life is tough. Life is tough. No matter how much money you have in this world, life is tough. But you have to make the best out of it and continue to push.
And that is important. That's a great way to conclude tonight's conversation. I know the listeners who are here with us and who have tuned in have received something of value, from this conversation. So, Dr. Raymond, it's a pleasure, to have you here on the Black Male Impact. So, again, as I said earlier, this will not be our final conversation. Looking forward to future conversation. And for the listeners who are here, thank you, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And I do hope you have received something of value from this conversation. The Black Male Impact is where positive changes are inspired. So thanks for tuning in, and I'm looking forward for future conversation.
Dr. Cross, you're amazing. I'm a fan. So whenever you want me back on, just shoot me a text, and I'll be on. I appreciate you and appreciate this platform. Thank you to all the listeners that jumped on.
Oh, thank you, man. I really, enjoy this conversation, and the individuals who are here, I know they too enjoy the conversation. Man, you have shared a lot of good points. So I just want to say thanks to everyone that's here. Looking forward to our future conversation.
Absolutely.